What if I told you that one phone call, not a lawsuit, not a fist fight, just a single phone call completely destroyed a company that had been exploiting its workers for years? I'm talking boats sold, trucks gone, the entire business wiped off the map. And the best part? It happened because the boss thought he was untouchable. If you've ever had a boss who treated you like dirt, this story is going to feel like pure justice. Hit that like button, subscribe for more stories like this, and let's dive into one of the most satisfying tales of workplace revenge you'll ever hear. When I first started working for this towing company, I thought I'd finally caught a break. See, I've been around cars my whole life, fixing them, painting them, towing them. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. Painting cars was my first love, but the fumes had been wrecking my health, so towing was the next best thing. The pay seemed decent on paper, but then reality hit. This company wasn't like others. We didn't even have our own trucks. We had to share, swapping out vehicles like hand-me-downs. And the boss, let's just call him Rick. Oh, Rick had his own twisted system. He decided where each driver should sit, parked in random lots around the city like chess pieces he could move around at will. He called it strategy, but what it really was, control. And let me tell you, Rick loved control. Every truck had a transponder installed. That meant Rick knew everything, when the truck was moving, when it wasn't, even when the engine was idling. If he saw you sitting in the cab on a hot day with the AC running, you'd get a phone call. Why are you wasting gas? The wheels aren't turning, you're not earning. It didn't matter if you were sweating bullets in the summer heat or freezing in the dead of winter. To Rick, comfort was laziness. Conflict, escalation. The realization of exploitation. At first, I kept my head down, but after a few months, I realized something wasn't adding up. The decent pay I thought I'd signed up for, it wasn't so decent anymore. The hours I was putting in versus the checks I was cashing, those numbers didn't match. So one night, parked in yet another random lot, I pulled out my phone and started digging. State labor laws, employee rights, case studies, and then I found it. A phrase that would change everything. Engage to wait. See, according to the law, if your boss requires you to stay in one specific place, you're on the clock. Period. It doesn't matter if you're not actively towing a car, you're still working. On the flip side, if you're free to roam, free to do your own thing while waiting, that's called waiting to be engaged. Big difference. And here's the kicker. Rick had us pinned down in exact locations every single shift. We weren't free to go home, grab lunch, or even take a proper break. We were engaged to wait, which meant he legally owed us an hourly wage on top of our commission. I didn't say a word, but I started keeping track of every single hour. The breaking point. Now, Rick wasn't just a micromanager. He was a tyrant. He'd blow up over the smallest things, stuff that didn't matter. One day, I left a soda can in the cup holder of the truck. Just a regular old empty pop can. When Rick found it, he lost his mind. I mean full-on screaming fit. His face turned beet red, spit flying, veins popping out of his neck. You'd think I keyed his car or totaled the truck. That was my moment of clarity. I realized this man didn't respect me. He didn't respect any of us. To him, we weren't employees, we were disposable tools. And by that point, I'd already lined up another job. So I decided it was time to set my plan in motion. The confrontation. I called Rick and told him we needed to have a serious conversation about my final paycheck. He agreed to meet. I walked into his office, sat down across from him, and laid it all out. Calm, direct, professional. I explained the law. I explained the difference between waiting to be engaged and engaged to wait. I told him I had documented hours where he'd required me to sit in specific lots. and I told him I expected to be paid accordingly. Rick leaned back in his chair, smirked, and shook his head. That's not how this works. You knew the deal when you signed on. Commission only. That's the agreement. He waved me off like I was some annoying fly. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just smiled, took my final check, and walked out the door. Because I knew exactly what my next move was. The revenge plan. One phone call. That Monday morning, I picked up the phone and called the state labor board. I explained everything, the forced parking, the monitoring, the unpaid hours. The investigator on the other end of the line, they were very interested. Within weeks, labor officials were at Rick's office, digging through employment records, interviewing drivers, and crunching numbers. And when they were done, they handed Rick the bill. We're talking tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars in back wages, fines, and penalties. Money Rick simply didn't have. To pay it off, he started liquidating. First the trucks, then his boat, then the lot itself. Piece by piece, his empire crumbled. And just like that, the company was gone. Did I ever see all the money Rick owed me? No, I only got a fraction. But you know what? It didn't matter, because I got something way more valuable. The satisfaction of knowing I'd taken down a bully who thought he was above the law. With nothing but patience, persistence, and a single phone call, I turned his greed against him. He treated us like pawns. And in the end, that was his downfall. Sometimes revenge doesn't come from fists or shouting matches. Sometimes the sweetest justice is quiet. It's knowing the rules better than the person trying to break them. And for me, watching Rick's company burn to the ground, knowing it all started with my call, that was pure bliss. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments. Have you ever seen karma catch up to someone who thought they were untouchable? And of course, subscribe for more stories that prove sometimes revenge really is the best medicine.